Alright, so now for this final part of our triangle series, we're just going to look at some beginner and intermediate setups. I'll classify beginner setups as any kind of setup from the guard where you're controlling both of your partner's hands, or at least one of their hands. I think that's a pretty good way to start working the triangle. And then from there, intermediate setups where we start looking at ways to set up the triangle from dominant positions, which is easier in certain ways, a little bit harder in other ways, just because usually with those setups, when we start in the dominant position, normally our upper body is a lot closer, our lower body is a little bit further away. So while we do have things like being on top and gravity on our side, there's a lot more of like adjustments and changing of the positions that we'll look at here in a second. But to start, we'll start from the closed guard, and this first one is better as kind of just a drill. So for this first setup, we're just going to control both of our partner's wrists. I'm going to push and pull his arms in order to get him to resist, and as he resists, I go with it, and then I throw my legs up and over. And notice how when I do this, my hips come all the way up off the ground. And then from here, I can start working to make all those adjustments we talked about to get the finish. Not a setup you're probably gonna see at World Finals match, but as a beginner, it's a really good way to help you kind of get that coordination down and then give you a way to practice lifting and shooting your hips up. As far as more applicable setups, let's turn a little bit this way. From the closed guard, what we're gonna look to do is get an overhook on one side. So I'll start on this side, but my good side's over here. So we'll go back to that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a cross grip on my partner's hand. My hand is gonna come underneath to grab my own wrist, especially if he's controlling my belt, my gi. I'm gonna grab, come underneath, and then I'm gonna push. I'm gonna use my wrist to bend my partner's wrist and then push his arm straight up. Now from here, I'm gonna circle my hand underneath my own hand, and I'm gonna use my legs. I'm pulling my knees to my chest to get my partner to come forward. As I do that, I loop my arm over my head, and then my second arm comes through and gets a nice tight overhook. If I can, I wanna try to grab my partner's far collar, and at this point, now I'll let go. And my hand that lets go of the sleeve immediately goes to controlling the head, just so he doesn't posture up. If I'm kind of loose with the position, you can just posture up, pull his arm out immediately. So my partner's framing on me, I grab the grip, come underneath, grab my own wrist. Now I'm gonna pull this grip towards me to bend his wrist. That's gonna make his grip a lot weaker. Now I can push up to break, circle my hand. Now I pull my knees to my chest, sit up, pass this grip over my head, get a nice deep overhook, look to grab the collar material, pinch my elbow nice and tight. Now I let go and immediately go to the head. So now we're gonna do that on this other side. Here, boom. Once I get to this point here, I don't wanna stay flat on my back, so I'm gonna start to hip escape to my side. And I'm gonna keep hip escaping until I can get the inside of my knee over my partner's back. This is gonna help me keep their posture broken, so now I can let go of controlling the head. And we have a lot of submission options from here. Let's turn a little bit this way. The first one we can go for that helps us set up the triangle is the punch choke. So I'm already holding my partner's far collar. All I'm gonna look to do is grab 4 fingers inside, just like this. And I wanna kind of line up my knuckles right underneath my partner's jaw. And again, it's very important, I'm on my side and my knees are kind of in front of my partner's chest and then over their back to keep their posture broken. So my hand goes inside, I'm pulling the lapel grip and then pushing my knuckles in to get the tap here. But more often than not, as soon as I start putting pressure on this choke, my partner's gonna bring his hand up to defend. So one thing you can do, depending on where his arm is, if his arm is up off the elbow or his elbow is up off the mat a little bit, I'm gonna swing my leg up and around here like this. Another option is, as he goes to grab, I can just grab his wrist. I'm gonna turn my elbow in, start pushing his wrist away, and then I'm just gonna slide my knee towards my chest and bring my foot over. If you don't quite have the flexibility to bring your foot up and over like that, then as I go for the choke, I grab his wrist, put just my knee on the inside, and then I'm gonna square up with my partner here like this. Now I'm gonna start to push him away, tuck my knee to my chest, and it's a little bit easier to throw my leg over and get to finish. So one more time. Over here, I get this grip, break. And getting this punch choke grip will also kind of stop your partner from driving into you and flattening you back out. So go for the choke. If I get it, great. If not, he starts to defend, then I can grab, I can pin his wrist to his neck. I can kind of lift him up to throw this leg over. I can also control on the inside, pull my knee to my chest to get my foot free and go over. Or if I can't quite bring my foot all the way out, I'll just put my shin across the crook of his elbow, pull his hand towards me, square back up with my partner. Now I can extend his leg, pull my leg out, and get to our triangle situation. And then one more setup for when we're kind of in the guard here. If our closed guard isn't working, we're not able to get our partner down, then we can switch to the spider guard instead. So I'm gonna start by controlling both sleeves. I'm gonna hip escape. I'm gonna bring one knee in, kind of like I'm going for a scissor sweep. I kind of bring my knee in across my partner's waist, and then I'm gonna open up, put my knee in the bicep. That foot goes on the hip. Same thing on this side. Hip escape, bring my knee in, both feet on the hips, both knees kind of in the shoulder bicep area. Now this will give me space to extend, start putting my feet on the biceps. And then go shot lasso, double spider, move your partner around. But the key of what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use one leg as a stepping stool to lift our hips as our other leg goes behind, here like this. A lot of people make the mistake of when they're shooting the triangle from spider guard, is they try to shoot this leg over first and try to start locking it right away. But again, I need to be concerned about my opponent's posture. So when I'm playing this position, I'm going side to side. First, the bottom leg comes through. I'm stepping on my partner's bicep to lift my hips and then clamp my calf over my partner's back. This will let me take this foot off while keeping the posture broken, so I can cross my ankles into that diamond position we were talking about earlier. And I particularly like this setup because we're already controlling both of our partner's hands, so we can punch his hand across, start setting up. And since we're controlling our partner's hands, it makes it a little harder for them to do the defense of kind of connecting their hands here, ducking their head out, all those kinds of things. So one more time for this one. Our closed guard isn't quite working out, so we control the sleeves, hip escape, get our legs on the inside, feet on the hips, shins, kind of pushing him away, especially if he's holding on tight to our belt or anything. We can kind of use our shins here to extend, break these grips, or make enough space to get our feet to the bicep. I'm gonna start extending here, going for a double spider, especially if our partner's staying on his knees. If he stands up, I wouldn't recommend maintaining double spider. You can, but we don't have a lot of posture control. So I'd probably recommend switching to a shot lasso if they stand up. But for now, we'll just say our partner stays on their knees here. So we hip escaped, we got to this double spider. I'm extending on one side. On the side I'm not extending, the other side is gonna come underneath, and I'm gonna retract this foot. So let's turn this way. So I was here, this foot's extended, I'm taking this foot off. I'm gonna retract my foot. I'm trying to turn the bottom of my foot down and use my partner's bicep as a stepping stool so I can lift my hips up and shoot this leg across the back. Now I can throw this one over, start pulling the arm across, and look to finish. So those are some beginner setups from the guard. Again, controlling our partner's hands makes it a little bit easier to get to the position, and then makes it a little bit harder for our partner to defend the position as well.